There's a bird outside your window right now, and it's talking about you. Not in words. But that sharp, repetitive chip, chip, chip you've learned to tune out, that's not random noise. It's a warning call, and in a lot of cases, you're the threat it's warning about. By the end of this video, you won't be able to walk outside without eavesdropping on an entire conversation happening above your head. Let's decode it. Birds don't have language the way we do, no grammar, no syntax, stacking meaning on meaning. But what they do have is something scientists call a referential call system. Specific sounds that map to specific real-world meanings. A hawk overhead, a snake on the ground, food, arrival. Each one gets its own acoustic signal, and other birds, sometimes other species, entirely know exactly what it means the instant they hear it. This isn't guesswork anymore. Researchers have spent decades running playback experiments, isolating calls, and testing exactly how birds respond. And what they've found is stranger and more sophisticated than most people assume. Let's start with a call you've probably heard 1,000 times without knowing it, the alarm call. In chickadees, this is the famous chickadee call, and here's the wild part. The number of D notes at the end isn't random. Researchers found that chickadees add more Ds for higher threat predators. A small, fast hawk that can maneuver through branches, that gets a call packed with Ds, sometimes over 20 in a row. A large owl that's slow and clumsy in tight spaces, and therefore less dangerous, barely any Ds at all. That means chickadees aren't just saying predator. They're encoding threat level into the call itself, something closer to a rating system than a single alarm bell. And it doesn't stop at their own species. Nuthatches, titmice, and woodpeckers all eavesdrop on chickadee alarm calls and react accordingly. Scientists call this a mixed species information network, an entire forest wired into the same warning system, built almost entirely around one bird's vocabulary. So when you hear frantic chipping in your backyard, you're not hearing noise. You're hearing a live threat report broadcast to every bird within earshot. Here's where it gets personal. A lot of the time, that threat is you. Birds distinguish between a human walking past at a distance and a human walking directly toward a nest. Studies on species like the fairy wren and the superb starling have shown that birds adjust alarm intensity based on how close a predator, including a person, gets to their nest and how directly it's approaching. A human ambling by on a path barely registers. A human veering toward a nesting site triggers a completely different, more urgent call. This is why a bird can seem totally calm one moment and explode into agitated calling the next. You crossed an invisible perimeter. It's been quietly monitoring the whole time. And it's not just alarm. There's a specific mobbing call, often a harsh, repeated scolding sound that birds use to recruit backup. One bird spots a threat, sounds the mobbing call, and within seconds you'll see multiple birds converge to dive bomb and harass whatever triggered it. It's cooperative defense, coordinated entirely through sound. Alarm calls get the most research attention because they're dramatic and easy to test. But birds run several other call categories every single day. Contact calls, soft, short notes that pairs or flock members use to stay tuned to each other's location without needing to see one another. If you've heard two birds calling back and forth in a steady, unhurried rhythm, that's not conversation in the human sense. It's more like a check-in ping, confirming, still here, we're still here. Begging calls the insistent buzzy sound of a chick demanding food. Parents can often tell which specific chick is calling and how hungry it actually is, based on subtle changes in pitch and intensity. Song, which is different from calls, entirely longer, more complex, and mostly tied to territory defense and mate attraction rather than immediate threats. So the next time you hear birds chatting in a tree, what you're actually hearing is layered. Some of it is location tracking, some of it is negotiation over territory, and some of it might be a running threat assessment of you. Here's the practical payoff. Once you know the categories, you can start reading a backyard like a page of text. A sudden shift from calm chirping to sharp, repetitive chipping means something changed: a hawk overhead, a cat in the yard, or you getting too close to a nest you didn't know was there. A rising chorus of harsh scolding calls from multiple directions usually means a mobbing event is underway, and if you look up, you'll often catch it in progress: a crow or a group of songbirds harassing a hawk or owl until it leaves. If you're a bird watcher, this is a shortcut to finding wildlife you'd otherwise miss. Alarm calls will point you toward predators before you ever spot them yourself. And if you keep birds or just have regular visitors at a feeder, learning their contact calls versus their distress calls means you can tell from another room whether everything outside is calm or whether something's wrong. Birds have been running a full communication network above our heads this whole time. We just haven't been listening for the right patterns. Next time you step outside, pause for 10 seconds and actually tune in. You might catch a warning, a mobbing call, or just two birds quietly checking in on each other. If you want to actually start recognizing these calls in the wild, hit subscribe next week. I'm breaking down 5 calls you can learn to identify by ear, starting with the one every backyard bird uses to say hawk.